The ocean, vast and endless, was never a place of safety. 5.9 million years ago, its waters concealed a shadow so immense, it made today's predators seem fragile. What would survival mean when a single wave could carry the silhouette of a hunter longer than a bus with jaws wide enough to crush whales? Could the fragile ancestors of humankind truly face such a beast, or would their fate look very different when set against the great white sharks we fear today? The scene opens beneath a burning sky. Early humans stand at the shoreline, their bare feet pressing into the wet sand as foam gathers around their ankles. They do not speak. Their eyes rise to the horizon, where the surface shimmers, concealing the abyss below. The sea is their lifeline and their executioner. Fish sustain them, shells feed them, driftwood provides tools. But the deep holds something colossal, a danger beyond measure. A flock of seabirds breaks the silence, erupting from the waves with frantic wings. The water churns, then calms. The humans hesitate, sensing what their instincts already whisper: something stirs beneath. Their bodies are tense muscles coiled like springs, eyes darting for escape. Then, without warning, the ocean erupts. The dark mass of a whale is dragged downward, its cry silenced in a thunder of bubbles and blood. The Megalodon has struck. Its massive jaws close, and even from shore, the humans feel the vibration in their bones. The tribe reacts with gestures, pulling children away, lifting crude spears, though they know wood cannot pierce the armor of giants. Fear translates into movement, retreat to higher ground, scramble toward rocky cliffs where the sea cannot swallow them whole. They do not need words. Their survival is written in their synchronized flight, in the urgency of their hands pulling one another upward. Yet survival is not only escape. Hunger drives them back again. The ocean offers no mercy, but it offers food. They craft rafts of bound reeds, their bodies trembling as they push into shallow waters. Their eyes never leave the horizon. Each ripple is a threat, each shadow beneath the surface a promise of death. The Megalodon does not need to reveal itself. Often its legend grows with each absence, with each uneaten carcass found drifting ashore. Jaw marks larger than a man's torso, carved deep into flesh. The rhythm of survival builds forage on land, tests the tide retreat at the first sign of danger. The humans learn to read the sea differently. The splash of a dolphin brings relief. The silence of the deep brings dread. When the ocean grows still, they know the hunter may lurk below, silent and unseen. Survival is not confrontation. It is ritual, a delicate dance of risk and retreat, of knowing when to seize and when to surrender. Now, the scene shifts to comparison. The narrative cuts forward, bridging across time. Today's oceans are ruled by the great white shark, a predator feared and respected. Its strike is swift, its power undeniable. Yet compared to the monster of prehistory, it is but a shadow. Where the great white reaches 6 meters, the Megalodon dwarfed it at 15 or more. Where a white shark could split a seal in seconds, the Megalodon feasted on whales, its bite force strong enough to crush bone thicker than any spear shaft. Humans today dive with cages, reinforced steel, separating flesh from teeth. 5.9 million years ago, there was no steel, no cage, no refuge, but stone and cliff. Against the great white, survival is possible. Boats, weapons, and strategy can tilt the balance. Against the Megalodon, survival was humility, never meeting it, never daring its waters, never standing alone in its domain. The tribe watches the waves again as dusk falls. The sun dies behind the horizon, painting the sea in blood-red hues. They gather around fires, their bodies trembling with exhaustion, but alive. The rhythm has settled into ritual, the lesson carved into memory. Survival against the greatest predator of the sea was not conquest, but avoidance, reverence, and the fragile gift of retreat. The night carries whispers of the deep. Stars scatter across the black canvas above, mirrored in the restless sea below. The tribe huddles by the fire, its flickering light painting their faces with fear and resilience. Each flame is both shield and signal, a declaration to the darkness that they are still alive. But even fire cannot reach the abyss. Beneath the rolling waves, the Megalodon moves silently, its presence felt but unseen, like a storm waiting to break. Morning comes with salt-heavy winds. The tribe descends to the shore once more, their hunger gnawing deeper than fear. They approach the tide pools, searching for crabs, clams, anything that the sea might surrender without demand of sacrifice. Yet even as they crouch to scrape shellfish from rocks, their eyes shift constantly, scanning the water. A splash too large, a shadow too slow, and their instincts surge. The youngest man stiffens, pointing to the distance. A dorsal fin cuts the surface. Not the towering presence of the Megalodon, but smaller, sharper, today, a shark of more familiar size. It circles the shallows, a predator they might resist. The humans respond with urgency, lifting sharpened spears, standing shoulder to shoulder in the foamy surf. They move, as one organism, their cries rising in unison, not words, but primal sounds of defiance. The shark lunges, jaws snapping, but the humans strike with desperate force, jabbing wood into flesh. Blood taints the water. The predator recoils, and the tribe surges backward, retreating to dry sand. Their chests heave, their eyes burn, but they are alive. Against a shark of this size, courage and numbers prevail. Against the Megalodon, such defiance would be meaningless. This contrast is survival's lesson. The scale of the enemy dictates the scale of strategy. Against the great white shark, humans carve victory with sharpened tools, bravery, and unity. Against the Megalodon, survival comes not from confrontation, but evasion, never tempting the hunger of a beast so immense. The tribe knows this without knowing their instincts, guiding them to avoid deeper waters, to build their lives around the edge of danger without falling into its core. As days turn to weeks, they adapt. The rhythm of survival transforms into tradition. They craft fishing lines from sinew, setting traps in shallow currents where sharks dare not linger. They learn to read the patterns of waves, to recognize the silence before a strike. When they find a whale carcass washed ashore, marked with crescent bites larger than their bodies, they feast cautiously, their reverence mixing with fear. Each mouthful of meat carries the memory of what waits beneath, the reminder that survival is borrowed time, not permanent victory. The story now drifts to modern parallels. Divers, sailors, and fishermen still confront sharks today, yet the scale of fear has shrunk. A great white circling a cage sparks terror, but its size, 6 meters of muscle and teeth, is within the grasp of technology, within the scope of human defiance. Boats, nets, harpoons, and submarines tilt the balance in our favor. But place us back against the Megalodon strip, away technology, and even the fiercest defiance crumbles. What is bravery when the hunter itself is a moving shadow larger than a house? What is strategy when one strike can shatter boats like twigs? The ocean breathes heavily at sunset. The tribe gathers once more on the cliffs, their silhouettes framed against the vast horizon. Below them, the water shifts darker than before. The Megalodon stirs. Its dorsal fin breaks the surface for the first time, rising like a monument, dwarfing anything in sight. For a moment, time stops. The humans cling to one another, their breaths shallow, their hearts pounding. No spear is raised, no defiance is made. They understand the truth: to survive here is not to fight, but to vanish from the reach of giants. The horizon glows red as dawn spills across the ocean, but the tribe's eyes remain fixed on the water. Hunger presses them forward, yet memory restrains them. They have seen the abyss swallow whales whole. They have felt the tremor of the sea when the Megalodon passes beneath. Today, they choose silence and patience. They gather fruits inland, dig for roots, and hunt small prey on land. Their survival does not mean conquest of the ocean's giant, but balance, knowing when to approach and when to retreat. As weeks turn into seasons, their story becomes ritual. Fires lit at night are no longer just for warmth, but for remembrance. Warnings passed silently through gestures: the sea is both life and death. The Megalodon rules beyond their reach, a presence so colossal it shapes their very culture. Their songs, carved in movement and gesture, retell the silhouette of the massive fin cutting through waves, the thunderous strike of jaws that no spear could resist. In this way, survival itself becomes legend. Today, we look back and compare. The great white shark inspires awe, but humanity has built cages, boats, and steel weapons to face it. The Megalodon, however, belongs to an age where human ancestors were fragile shadows at the water's edge. Could they survive? Yes, but not by fighting. Survival was endurance, adaptation, reverence, and knowing limits. The ocean did not belong to them, it belonged to giants. And by respecting that truth, their bloodline endured long enough to become us.